My best friend said, "You're only here to make me look better." At her birthday, she asked me to take photos. I did, of her boyfriend's hand on another girl's waist. She never posted them. I'm shaking writing this because it still doesn't feel real. My name's Lila, 26, female, and this is about my ex-best friend, Harper, 27, female. We've been inseparable since we were 14. Or at least that's the story I used to tell people. Truth is, Harper always made sure she was the star and I was the sidekick. The responsible one, the quiet one, the one who'd hold her hair when she drank too much, cover for her lies to boyfriends, drive her home when she didn't want to pay for an Uber. She'd bat her lashes and say, "You're my rock, Lila. I'd be lost without you." But I'd also hear the sharp edge in her jokes, the kind where she'd call me plain, or laugh that no guy would look at me unless I was standing next to her. One night last year, after a fight with her mom, she actually said the words that stuck like glass in my ribs. "You're only here to make me look better." And then she laughed like it was a joke, but she didn't take it back. That was Harper in a nutshell. Everything she said had two layers. She'd praise me for being such a loyal friend, but then take the credit for introducing me to anyone cool. She'd ask for my advice, then mock me to her other friends for being too intense. I kept telling myself I was overthinking it, that all friendships have ups and downs. But something in me started breaking that night. Still, when her birthday came around a few months later, I went. Of course I did. It was at this fancy rooftop bar she'd rented out, with string lights and overpriced cocktails. Everyone was in sequins and heels, and Harper, of course, had picked a dress that looked like it was sewn onto her body. She shoved her phone into my hand the second I walked in. "Lila, you take the photos tonight, okay? You're good at catching my angles." Not a thank you, not a hi, just an order. And I nodded, because that's what I'd always done. I told myself I'd just survive the night, keep my head down, take the pictures, leave before the drunk drama started. But standing there with her phone in my hands, framing shot after shot, I noticed something. Harper's boyfriend, Chase, 29, male, Mr. Perfect Smile, the guy she always bragged about, kept drifting toward this girl I didn't recognize. She had long dark hair and a laugh that made his hand settle too comfortably on her waist. At first, I thought maybe I was imagining it, but then it happened again. And again. His fingers tracing circles, his body angled toward her like Harper wasn't even in the room. So I did what Harper asked. I took photos, perfectly lit, perfectly framed, Harper in her birthday glory, Chase right beside her, and his hand on another girl. Frame after frame, the truth was sitting there in pixels. When Harper scrolled through them later, I saw her face tighten for half a second before she flipped the screen away. She never posted a single one. That was the first crack, and I swear, even as I handed her phone back, I knew something in our friendship had just shifted forever. The thing about Harper is, she doesn't just ignore problems, she pretends they never existed. The morning after her birthday, my phone buzzed with her texts. Not about Chase, not about the girl in the pictures, just, "Send me the good ones, the ones where I look skinny." Like she hadn't seen her boyfriend's hand welded to another woman's waist. I stared at my phone for a long time. Part of me wanted to just drop it, let her deal with her mess. But I couldn't stop replaying the way she looked at me when she saw those photos, like she'd known what they meant and decided in real time to bury it. And here's the kicker. She didn't even ask if I had fun at her party. Didn't thank me. Just expected me to serve up curated evidence of her perfect night. So I sent her a handful, just the polished ones, just her. I kept the others. I don't even know why. Maybe because I didn't trust her to face the truth. Maybe because some bitter corner of me wanted proof that for once, I wasn't crazy. Harper and I had always had this imbalance. She was the lightning bolt. I was the ground rod. She'd blow up a situation, I'd absorb the hit. She'd flirt with guys who had girlfriends, and I'd be the one whispering, "Harper, maybe not tonight." She'd cry to me about being misunderstood, then post selfies that turned her into the victim. And I, idiot that I am, kept letting her. Because if I didn't, who else would she have? But after the birthday, something shifted in how I looked at her. We were sitting at our usual coffee spot a week later, Harper stirring her latte with that lazy grace she had. I tried, gently, to bring it up. "Did you and Chase talk about the party?" She looked up at me like I'd just asked her to recite the Constitution. "Talk about what?" I didn't blink. The girl. His hand. For a second, her smile cracked. Then she let out this sharp laugh. God, Lila, you're so dramatic, you always read into things. That's why people don't take you seriously. That stung. It always stung. But I just nodded and let her rant about how insecure girls ruin relationships, how Chase would never cheat, how I should learn to loosen up. She even flipped it back on me. You've never even had a serious boyfriend, so maybe you just don't get it. That was the moment I felt it. Not just the sting, but the slow, simmering anger. Because she wasn't just dismissing me, she was gaslighting me. Again. Pretending I hadn't seen what I'd seen, pretending the problem wasn't Chase, but me. And here's the twist I didn't expect. Chase started texting me. Little things at first, asking if I could send him certain pictures, ones with him in them. Then one night, hey, don't mention that girl to Harper, okay? She'll overreact. It wasn't what it looked like. My blood ran cold, because that text was him confirming everything Harper was denying. He knew. He was scared. And suddenly, I was holding leverage neither of them wanted me to have. I didn't respond, but I saved that text too. Harper always had a radar for when I was pulling away. It's like she could smell independence on me and had to snuff it out before it grew into something real. After Chase's late-night text, I went quiet for a few days. I didn't send Harper my usual good luck before her big work presentation, didn't like her new Instagram post, didn't answer her random 2 a.m. memes, and that silence was apparently louder than anything I could have said. She showed up at my apartment uninvited on a Thursday night. No warning. Just her pounding on the door with that manic, rapid-fire rhythm that always meant trouble. When I opened it, she swept inside without waiting. "You're mad at me," she announced, tossing her purse onto my couch like it belonged there. "I'm not mad." My voice cracked a little, betraying me. Her eyes narrowed, sharp and calculating. "You're sulking. You do this thing where you get quiet and act like you're above it all. Just say what you want to say." I wanted to scream at her. I wanted to hold up my phone and shove Chase's text in her face. Instead, I just said, "I saw what I saw, Harper. You can laugh at me all you want, but he was all over that girl." She froze. Not in guilt, no. Harper never froze in guilt. It was rage. The kind that started in her chest and flushed all the way up to her hairline. "You think you're better than me, don't you?" she snapped. "Always sitting there with your judgments, your little concerned friend act. You're jealous. That's what this is. You don't get attention, so you twist everything into drama so you can feel important." I should have stayed calm, but something in me snapped right back. "I'm not jealous, Harper. I'm tired. Tired of being your unpaid photographer, your cover story, your emotional punching bag. And I'm definitely not going to cover for Chase. He's your problem, not mine." The silence that followed was heavy, suffocating. Then, true to form, Harper escalated. She grabbed the framed photo of us from my bookshelf, the one from our senior year where we were laughing so hard my eyes were closed. Without hesitation, she hurled it across the room. Glass shattered against the wall, shards skittering across my floor like tiny knives. "You don't get to talk to me like that," she screamed, voice cracking. "You wouldn't have friends if it weren't for me. You're nothing without me, Lila." I just stood there, my chest pounding, staring at the wreckage of our friendship in literal broken glass. Then she did something that chilled me more than the yelling. She burst into tears. Huge, heaving sobs collapsing onto my couch like she was the victim, like I had hurt her. And when her mascara smeared down her cheeks, I almost gave in. Because that's how it always went. She'd break something, lash out, then crumble into this wounded girl I couldn't turn away from. But this time I didn't comfort her. I didn't reach for tissues or water. I let her cry. And the whole time, the thought burned in the back of my mind. She's not scared of losing Chase. She's scared of losing control of me. And that realization, that was the first time I started thinking about revenge. After Harper's meltdown in my apartment, I thought maybe, just maybe, she'd retreat for a while. That was usually the cycle. She'd blow up, I'd freeze her out, and then she'd come slinking back with some half-hearted peace offering. But this time, the peace offering never came. Instead, she went nuclear. 2 days later, I woke up to a storm on social media. Harper had posted this long, self-pitying story set to sad piano music. A close-up selfie, mascara still smudged from her little performance on my couch, with a caption that read, "Some people are so toxic. Imagine being jealous of your best friend and trying to destroy her happiness. Sad. I didn't even have to guess who it was aimed at. My phone lit up with messages from mutual friends asking what happened, if I was okay, if I really said those things she hinted at. Harper had always been good at playing the victim, but this was different. This was public. And it worked. Suddenly, I was the villain in a story I hadn't even written. And then Chase texted me again. Harper's upset. You need to drop this. Don't bring up that girl again. That's when it clicked. He wasn't worried about Harper's feelings. He was worried about me holding the receipts. Both of them were. It should have ended there. I should have blocked them both, cut my losses, and disappeared. But Harper had crossed a line. She'd dragged my name through the mud, painting me as some bitter, jealous hanger-on while sitting on a time bomb she prayed no one else would notice. And I, quiet, dependable, overlooked me, was the one holding the detonator. That weekend, I got an unexpected call from Tessa, a girl Harper used to be friends with, until Harper decided she wasn't cool enough to be in the inner circle. Tessa had seen Harper's post and reached out, her voice practically buzzing through the phone. Lila, you don't have to take this. You've got proof, right? You always do. And she was right. I had the photos. I had the text from Chase. I had the story Harper was trying so hard to erase. But here's the thing. I didn't want to just expose them online and watch it burn out in a day. No, if Harper taught me anything, it's that timing is everything. She thrived on spectacle, on making every room orbit around her. So if she was going to try to bury me in public humiliation, I was going to return the favor. Except mine would be a lot more memorable. Because Harper's biggest event of the year was coming up, her company's annual gala. She'd been hyping it for months, telling everyone she'd be the main star with Chase at her side. All eyes would be on her. All cameras, too. And as I lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling with Harper's words still echoing, "You're nothing without me," I realized I finally had the chance to prove her wrong. Not by disappearing, but by letting everyone see exactly who she and Chase really were. Update 1. Okay, wow, I didn't expect this to blow up like it did. Reading through the comments on my last post has been surreal. Half of you were like, "Girl, cut her off, she's toxic," which, yeah, duh, I know. But then some of you came in with, "Expose them, ruin them, set the world on fire," and I've got to admit, those comments lit something in me. One person wrote, "She's not scared of losing Chase, she's scared of losing her audience." And holy crap, that hit me like a gut punch. Because that's exactly it. Harper doesn't care about relationships, not in the way normal people do. She cares about her image, her spotlight, her curated little bubble where she's adored. Chase is just her accessory. And me? I was the stagehand making sure the lights stayed on. Another person said, "Keep those receipts, timing is everything." And let me tell you, I've got the receipts. Screenshots, texts, the whole file folder on my phone, and I've been sitting on them, trying to figure out what to do, and now, I think I know. Because here's the thing, Harper didn't just burn me in private. She dragged me publicly. She painted me as jealous, pathetic, toxic. Some people unfollowed me because of her little stunt. Even my coworker pulled me aside like, "Hey, is everything okay with you and Harper?" I saw her story. Like, she didn't just break a friendship. She's actively rewriting my reputation. And Chase? He's panicking. He texted again yesterday, "Don't ruin things for us. It's not worth it." That little phrase, "not worth it," keeps echoing in my head. Not worth what, Chase? Your perfect couple image? Your spot at Harper's side? So here's where I'm at. Harper's company gala is next weekend. Black tie, champagne, photographers, the works. She's been obsessed with this night since forever. It's her chance to be seen, to perform, to prove she's the queen bee. And she already lined me up to be her personal photographer again. Can you imagine? After everything she's done, she still expects me to document her glory. I wasn't going to go. I was ready to block her number and vanish. But now I'm thinking, maybe that's exactly where the truth belongs. Not in some messy Instagram fight, not in screenshots dropped in group chats, but in front of the exact people whose approval she craves most. I don't want to spoil too much, but let's just say I'm not walking into that gala empty-handed. And for the person who commented, make her choke on her own spotlight. Thank you, because that's the plan. The week leading up to the gala, Harper turned the manipulation dial up to 11. She called me every single day, sometimes to bark orders, sometimes to cry about how people don't understand the pressure she's under, sometimes just to brag about the designer gown she borrowed from a friend of a friend. She never mentioned the meltdown in my apartment, never mentioned the broken photo frame, never mentioned the cryptic social media smear campaign. To her, it was like those things had been erased, but every phone call carried the same undertone. You'll be there, you'll hold the camera, you'll play your part. And I played along, smiling through the phone, murmuring, "Of course," while screenshotting every text she sent me. Meanwhile, I was stitching together my plan like a tailor working on a black funeral dress, because the photos weren't just random snapshots anymore, they were ammo. I had the ones from her birthday, the ones that caught Chase's hand welded to that other girl's waist. I had his frantic text messages begging me not to tell Harper. And I had one new little trick, a borrowed camera with a direct-to-screen function, meaning I could display photos live on any connected monitor. Here's the thing about Harper's company gala. It wasn't just dinner and drinks. There was always a slideshow, a glossy, curated stream of photos highlighting the year's achievements. Harper had bragged nonstop that she was in charge of picking which images would make the cut. I couldn't stop laughing at the irony. She'd basically opened the door for me. On the night of the gala, the tension in my chest was like a drumbeat. I slipped into the dress I'd picked deliberately plain. Black, simple, nothing flashy. I wanted no spotlight on me, not at first. The ballroom glittered with chandeliers and sequins, every table polished within an inch of its life. And there was Harper, draped in her borrowed gown, Chase at her side, smiling like he wasn't already guilty. She spotted me instantly. "Lila," she cooed, air-kissing my cheek. "You're here. Good. You'll get the best shots of me by the stage, okay?" My hands didn't even shake as I lifted the camera. Of course. The speeches dragged on, executives congratulating themselves, clinking glasses, the usual corporate theater. But when the slideshow began, Harper lit up like it was her coronation. She even grabbed Chase's arm, whispering loud enough for the table to hear, "Wait until you see how perfect we look." And then, for the first minute, everything went exactly as planned. Images of smiling employees, charity events, product launches, normal polished fluff. Until my set slipped in. There it was, Harper's birthday photo, she beaming, Chase at her side, and his hand unmistakably wrapped around the waist of that mystery girl. Gasps rippled through the room. Another photo followed. Chase leaning in too close, the girl laughing, his eyes locked on her instead of Harper. Harper froze. Chase's smile curdled into something tight and panicked. And the best part? The audience thought it was part of her curated selection. She leapt from her chair, her heels clacking against the marble, face twisted with rage. "Turn that off!" she screamed at the tech crew, her voice cracking through the microphone still clipped to her dress. "That's not supposed to be up there." But the damage was done. Whispers were already spreading like wildfire. Phones out, people recording, snapping screenshots of the projection. Chase tried to grab her wrist, tried to whisper her down, but Harper yanked away so hard her bracelet snapped and scattered beads across the floor. For once, I didn't move. I didn't fetch tissues or water. I just stood in the corner, camera still in my hands, as Harper's carefully built world shattered under the very spotlight she craved. And God, it felt like justice. The aftermath of the gala was pure chaos. I didn't even stay to watch the full implosion. Once Harper started shrieking at the tech crew, I slipped out into the cold night air, my heart pounding like I'd just run a marathon. But by the time I got home, my phone was a war zone. 32 missed calls from Harper, 17 from Chase, a flood of texts. "What the hell did you do? Fix this now. You've ruined my life. You're sick, jealous, pathetic. Pick up the phone or I'm coming over." I didn't reply. Just set my phone face down and listened to the vibrating hum against the wood of my nightstand until the battery died. The next morning, though, that's when Harper escalated. She showed up at my work. I'd barely sat down at my desk when I heard the commotion, heels stabbing the tile, her voice already raised before I even turned the corner. "Where is she? Where's Lila?" My stomach dropped. I work in a quiet office, the kind where drama is limited to someone heating fish in the microwave. And here was Harper, in full meltdown mode, makeup smeared, hair still stiff with hairspray from the night before. She stormed up to my desk and slammed her palms down hard enough that my stapler rattled. "You think this is funny? You think you can humiliate me in front of everyone and just hide?" I glanced around. My coworkers were staring, wide-eyed. My manager had half risen from her office, clearly debating whether to intervene. My pulse hammered in my throat, but I forced my voice steady. "You need to leave, Harper. This isn't the place." That set her off. She knocked my coffee over with a swipe of her arm, sending it cascading across my keyboard. Papers soaked instantly, brown spreading like a stain across my whole workspace. She was crying now, choking out words between sobs and shrieks. "You were supposed to be my friend. You're nothing without me. You destroyed everything." Security had to drag her out, and still she fought, kicking at the floor, screaming my name like some deranged banshee. By the time the doors shut behind her, I felt like I'd swallowed a live wire. Everyone in the office just stared at me. My manager pulled me aside after, her face pale. "Do you need to call the police, file a restraining order?" And here's the terrifying part. I think I might. Because Harper didn't just leave it at the office. That night, I came home to find my apartment door scratched up like someone had tried to pick the lock. No break-in, nothing stolen, just marks. A warning. And the texts haven't stopped. The last one I read before blocking her was a single line that made my blood run cold. "If I go down, you're coming with me." Update 2. So, I guess this is update number 2. And honestly, I don't even know where to start because things have gone from revenge fantasy satisfying to holy crap, am I in danger? In about 5 seconds flat. First, let me just say, I read every single one of your comments on my last post. Y'all had me cackling with stuff like, "She wanted the spotlight, you gave her the sunburn," and "Chase looked like he was about to melt into the carpet." One of you even said, "This belongs in a Netflix doc," and I nearly spit out my wine. So thank you for reminding me I'm not crazy. Watching Harper's perfect facade crack in real time? Absolute chef's kiss. But here's the part I wasn't prepared for. Harper did not slink away in shame like a normal human being. Nope, she's doubling down. Hard. The gala fallout was brutal. People recorded her tantrum, and the clips spread way faster than I expected. Someone sent me a TikTok edit of her screaming at the tech crew, spliced with circus music. It already has like 60K likes. Chase apparently has gone radio silent on social media. And from what I've heard through the grapevine, his job isn't thrilled about being associated with a scandal like this. So yeah, I lit a fire under both of them. But Harper? She came storming into my office. Full-on mascara-streaked, red-eyed banshee mode. Knocked my coffee all over my desk, screamed about betrayal, had to be dragged out by security. My coworkers looked at me like I was starring in some soap opera. One of them whispered, "Is this your friend?" Like I just brought a feral raccoon into the building. And then the real kicker, when I got home that night, there were scratches on my apartment door. Like someone tried, badly, to force it open. Nothing was stolen, but it felt like a warning. My stomach dropped so hard I thought I was going to puke. I blocked her number, but not before the last text came through. "If I go down, you're coming with me." So yeah, it's scary now. I've started keeping a baseball bat by the bed. My manager told me I should call the cops, maybe even file for a restraining order. And part of me wants to, but another part of me knows Harper. She thrives on escalation. If she thinks I'm involving the law, she'll spin it as me being obsessed with her. That's the kind of mind games she plays. I don't regret what I did at the gala. God, no. She deserved every second of that humiliation. But the aftermath? It's like poking a snake and realizing it's venomous. So, to whoever commented last time, revenge is sweet but unstable people don't go quietly. Yeah. You nailed it. After the door-scratching incident, I thought Harper might back off. I was wrong. If anything, she doubled down harder, like humiliation had only fed her mania. She started dragging other people into it. Mutual friends I hadn't talked to in months began messaging me. "Hey, Harper said you hacked her phone?" Or, "She's telling everyone you're obsessed with Chase." One even sent me a voice memo of Harper crying, saying I was trying to steal her life. It was unreal, like she was rewriting reality and handing out scripts for everyone else to recite. Then came the stunt that made my blood run cold. I walked into work one morning and found my desk covered, with printed photos of Harper and me. Old ones, pulled from Facebook, high school dance selfies, college parties, dumb sleepover snapshots. But across each picture in red Sharpie, she'd written things like liar and jealous and traitor. My stomach flipped. It felt less like a prank and more like a threat. Security pulled the building cameras and guess who they saw? Harper. At 2:00 a.m., Hoodie pulled over her hair, waltzing in like she owned the place. She must have sweet-talked the night guard because she wasn't even subtle. My manager gave me the look, half pity, half, do you want us to fire you for bringing this into the office? I didn't sleep that night. Every time my apartment pipes creaked, I thought she was outside. I kept hearing her voice. If I go down, you're coming with me. And then Chase showed up. In person. It was late, I was locking up after grabbing groceries, and suddenly there he was leaning against his car in the parking lot like some discount movie villain. He tried to sound calm, hands up like he was the reasonable one. Look, Lila, you need to stop this. She's unraveling. You don't understand what she's capable of. I laughed, actually laughed. You think I don't? I've been cleaning up her disasters for over a decade. His mask slipped for a second. He looked terrified, not of me, of Harper. Just delete the photos, wipe the texts, pretend it never happened. It'll be better for everyone. That's when I realized he wasn't protecting her, he was protecting himself. Because if Harper lost her mind completely, she'd drag him down with her. He knew it. I leaned in close enough that he flinched. I'm not the one who should be scared right now, Chase. You are. He drove off without another word, tires squealing. And I swear on everything, I knew then the final act was coming. Harper wasn't going to settle for slander or tantrums anymore. No, she was going to go bigger. And I was finally ready for her. I didn't have to wait long for Harper's grand finale. It was the following Saturday night when my building's fire alarm shrieked me awake at 3 a.m. At first I thought it was a drill, but then I smelled it. Burnt plastic, acrid and sharp. Heart racing, I threw on a hoodie, grabbed my phone, and ran outside with the rest of my neighbors. And there she was. Harper. Standing across the street, her gown from the gala crumpled around her like she'd slept in it, mascara smeared into raccoon eyes, screaming at the top of her lungs. You ruined my life, Leela, she shrieked, thrashing against the arms of two stunned firefighters trying to calm her down. She stole everything from me. She's obsessed. The fire wasn't a full blaze, thank God, but someone had lit a trash bin in the basement hallway. Guess who security cameras caught, lighter in hand? Harper. That was it. The line, the end of the rope. She'd gone from public humiliation to harassment to arson. And suddenly, I wasn't just the girl with receipts. I was the girl with evidence. The cops came, statements were taken. I didn't even have to say much. Harper did all the work for me, screaming about betrayal, about how I plotted against her, about how Chase was too weak to protect her from me. The officers exchanged looks like they'd seen this 100 times. By dawn, she was cuffed, mascara streaking down her cheeks like war paint. But here's where my revenge got sweet. Remember how Harper loved her image? How every inch of her life was curated for social media? Well, the moment the cops walked her to the squad car, someone filmed it. Neighbors, strangers. Within hours, the video was online. Local PR girl arrested for arson meltdown. The irony wrote itself. I didn't post the footage, I didn't need to. But I did send one thing, to Chase. Screenshots. His hand on another girl, his begging texts, Harper's unhinged threats, and underneath I wrote, if you want to save yourself, tell the truth. Otherwise, you're going down with her. The next day, he folded. He dumped Harper publicly, posting some lukewarm apology about toxic dynamics and choosing peace. It didn't save his reputation. People tore him apart for enabling her, but it was the final nail in her coffin. And me? For the first time in years, I felt light. No more stagehand to her chaos. No more friendship built on humiliation. Just silence. The broken photo frame from my bookshelf still sits in my trash bin, shards glinting like tiny reminders. And I think about Harper's words. You're only here to make me look better. No, Harper. I was here to end the show, and I did.